Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast, the show for ambitious professionals looking for their slice of freedom before they hit that burnout. And they're trying to turn their strategy into wealth. I am, of course, your host, Phil Better, the podcast mogul. And today's guest is proof that you don't need to hustle 24/7 to build a real generational wealth. You just need the right investment style and vehicle. She started her real estate journey back in 2006, mastering everything from short sales and tax liens to flipping multifamily properties. But the game changer? Promissory note investing, a powerful under-the-radar strategy that's been her focus for the past 7 years. She's helped over 1,000 people identify and hit their investment goals using real estate and notes. And she's doing it all while being a full-time wife, mom, and wealth builder with a mission to raise daughters who make impact in the world. If you're looking for a path to financial freedom that works around your life and not the other way around, this episode's going to open your eyes to what is possible. So buckle up, because in a few short seconds, you're going to meet the real estate investor, note expert, and impact-driven entrepreneur, Tiffany Alexander. And if your goal is to monetize your podcast, don't miss the Monetize Seeker webinar in the link in the show notes down below. Tiffany, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited to have you. Even though we were supposed to talk like months ago, someone was getting sick because of a little thing that started in 2020 that then popped up again. We won't talk about it, but you're here now. You're feeling amazing. Yes. And I'm excited to have you back on the podcast.
Me too.
All right, Tiffany, with always, my first question I ask all my guests, why? Why did you become an entrepreneur? What made you decide to go, hey, I don't want the 9 to 5. I want to be free?
It really all boiled down to my exposure at the age of 22 to one of those seminars that told you could do something different. So I don't think I actually thought I was going to be an entrepreneur as a kid. I thought, oh, my dad said to get a job. My mom had a job and they said I needed to do these jobs. And I didn't even need to go to college to get certain jobs. They said, just go and that's what you do the rest of your life. And then 22 years old, I see an infomercial saying, did you know you could flip houses for no money down? And you go and see this thing. And I thought, what? You can have no money and you can work for yourself and you can have rental property and you could be a landlord or you could flip houses. And I could do it as who I was, which was an airport worker with no money. So they were speaking my language. And just to come into one of these like rah 90-minute motivational seminars, they planted the dream. They planted the seed in me. And I could pinpoint it back to the year 2005. Of when this happened to me. Like, this is where I could not look back. You can't like get out of this thing, like unlearn it, unhear it. Now it's just a seed planted to go further. Like, oh gosh, what's next? And then you become a seminar seeker and you go to all of them and you try to figure it out and you realize, wow, my favorite is real estate. And that's where I've stayed ever since.
What was it about real estate that hooked you? Because yes, we know like, hey, you invest, like most people when they think real estate, they like, I buy a house, it increases in value, yeah, fun, or I'm gonna go buy a duplex and just have that residual income. What was it like specifically? Because there's thousands of different ways to become an entrepreneur. What was it about real estate that sunk their hooks into you?
It's a great question. I feel like there would have been multiple angles of it. Like when I first got into this idea in this world, the boom was happening and then the crash happened. So this is like 2005. You could, what do they call it? Fog a mirror, and you could get a loan 105% in Florida and just lie on your documents. There was no doc loans, like just so many different ways you could get in. And then I didn't start buying until after the downslide happened. Crash. And I was sort of saying like the blow, right? Going into it and buying my first fourplex in 2009 was like, once you connect the dots and see, oh, wow, I did that. I didn't have to bring any money to the table. I can do this again. I'm surrounded by the people that are showing me how to do this. I want to do this again. And just being able to be involved in something. I mean, technically it's a 24/7 job. It's depending on the style of entrepreneur you end up being. But the real estate aspect of it was having something tangible of also the leverage. Like I could do this without my own money and being able to get into that, which a lot of people are more privy to. Like, oh, did you know you could buy a business without, creative financing? And I think just knowing the heart center I take, the impact I left on people, that I was not willing to be a low quality, or they call it a slumlord, that I would show up and make the properties nice and they had a safe place to live, and that I was the reason for that. But also, I was the reason that they weren't being charged up to their eyeballs in rent, that I kept it at a medium rate. So it was like I'm providing a better cost, a safer environment, and I'm really impacting the families that choose to live and be tenants with me. It made everything sort of work really well for the buckets that needed to be filled and what I wanted to do.
I like that. And I like how you were like, I don't want to be that slumlord. I want to be the medium level. You know, they get a nice place, good apartment or good house that they can, feel like they're valued and they're not just, lining the pockets of some rich type person. When you started '09, obviously the crash just happened. Everybody's like, oh my god, it if you had the money, it was pretty easy to get buy more assets in the real estate world. And since you were just starting with that, did you feel stress and fear because you saw what happened in '08 and how it devastated so many people?
Hmm.
Did you have that fear going in, or were you like, no, I know I'm going to do good at this. I'm going to set everything up so that it pays for itself.
I'm generally an optimistic human. So until proven otherwise, I give most people and most deals like the benefit of the doubt. So I think that's something that I have been able to lean into as a human, until years later when you get burned, you're like, I should have trust but verified that one, right? So I think the idea of, I don't know, just the orchestra of it all happening, it's kind of my favorite place to be, and knowing that no matter the money or not the money, or if you have money or if you don't have money, it's still like defaults me to real estate. Like, just you can do this with other people's money. It's not going to be yours, it's someone else's. um yeah, I guess that's like my favorite way to consider. I would actually recommend anybody get into real estate, but now I don't want them to try the hardest level of it. I want them to go all the way up to where I graduated out of it now, like coming up on 8, 9 years ago, to no longer just do the rental and the hold, or tax liens and deeds and Airbnbs, single family commercial. Like, imagine if you could be doing what every largest building in every single downtown did. And who are the largest buildings in every single downtown? They're banks. And what do banks own? The land? No. They own the paper. They wrote the mortgage to you, and they're collecting front loaded, amortized interest for your property. And you could be on the side of that. So it's like, yeah, I want you to be in real estate. And if you have to, start here, go here, but graduate and keep climbing the rungs of those ladder to say, all right, what's the end of this? Well, the end of it is you should be the bank, and you should just invest in paper. And you can do it the same way with no money. So it's just like, what do you want to do? Do you want to start the hardest part? Do you want to go to the easiest part? I want to bring everybody with me. That's one of my personality styles, of like, come with me. I know you don't want to, but I'm going to drag you kicking and screaming to do what I do. And I'm going to sell you on it so hard until you do it with me.
So this is interesting because, like you said, you just stated multiple levels of the real estate game. You have the intro level where everybody thinks they need to start, which is buying an income generating property, duplex, triplex, fourplex, multiple doorplex. Then you said there's the flipping aspect, there's the commercial, single home, Airbnb. But what you do is promissory notes, which is something that I am completely befuddled by because I never even knew this was a thing. And that makes you like the bank. How did you find out about promissory notes? What are promissory notes for our audience? Because I'm guaranteeing that there's probably at least one or two people. Oh, you have documents there.
So anybody that you know or yourself personally has gone to the closing table, and by all means, here in California, the fat stack is like, it's stupid. This is a skinny stack. It was an Ohio property. You go and you get to the closing table and you have the things that need to be notarized. They need to be stamped. They need to be signed. You're signing your life away with disclosures and title company inspections, reports, all the above. But if you got a loan for it, you also signed another set of documents that you agree to your lender a term, a length, and an amount, and what that agreement's going to be. And that becomes your note. It could be a mortgage, a contract. It could be so many different versions of what that document is. And that's what I buy. I buy that set of paperwork that they call the note space, the mortgage note space. And obviously you see me light up about it because I get so excited. But in that, you can just own, and it sit on your desk or it sit in a file folder, a document that you got, and the collateral to the document is the property because it's been recorded at the courthouse. And the agreement says, hey, if you don't pay your home loan, the bank's going to take it back. You actually wouldn't necessarily want to go and originate those, but you can actually buy them that have already been in existence at an actual discount because of the time value of money and how much money they got on that giant curve of the front-loaded interest rate that they took from you. So yes, I love the note space. It's no more tears and tenants and toilets and turnover. And it's just paperwork. I mean, if all of this were even horribly done wrong, it's just $100 fee to fix this, a $20 stamp, an overnight FedEx. Like, it's just fixable with a little bit of time, a few documents, and figuring out what's wrong.
I love it. So are you buying, I'm going to deep dive because I'm still a little confused well, not confused. I want clarity in this because I understand you're buying a piece of paper that says, hey, you're promising to pay, or a contract, right? You're going to promise to pay X amount to this person or the bank, this institution. And that's the paper you're buying. You're just buying that little paper that says, hey, I promise to pay them. Do you take on the risk of the mortgage yourself? Or does that still stay with the bank or the lender?
You are the lender. You take the shoes off of that lender. You get to buy those shoes and you put the shoes on. So you have a regulatory oversight here in the US because that's typically the only notes that we buy. And what happens is the lender says, hey, we originated and we invented these shoes between me and this person. But what happens is you probably know someone that got a letter in the mail that said, hey, don't pay Chase, go pay Bank of America. Well, they sold this entire package of documents and they sold it to this other lender who now has the rights to collect, not to alter or change, but to collect the same original agreement. So you're just saying, hey, cross off Chase and write in Bank of America. And you're replacing those companies as they were your lender, and now I'm your lender. One of my favorite nuggets that I could go on like a rabbit trail is when you have a rental property and you have to have management deal with that, it's usually anywhere from 9 to 11%. Let's call it 10% to handle this. And then you've got vacancy, and you've got insurance, you've got oopsies, you've got all of the above. Well, in the note space, we have a management company that handles the paper for us, but the paperwork isn't 10%, it's $20. So like the profit already that you're going to put back in your pocket is how many, like 9% more back in your pocket. So being able to have a tenant, but it's not a tenant, it's a homeowner that's paying you cash flow on the asset that you've purchased. And then your management fee is $20. So it's like, how much more better can it get? But it gets better. Tell me why, Bob. All right. So
tell me why, Tiff. Tell me why it gets better. You already told me.
The next question is, well, Tiff, what happens when they default? They already paid down this much on their property. I get to keep their house. Do I want their house? No. But are they going to then sell and pay me back for the full amount when I bought their mortgage at a discount? Because there's another reason why banks sell these off, because they're turning inventory and they want to do other assets and they want to do different things. But because you paid so much on it already and you've only paid down a very little amount, they can actually say, oh, you originated this cute little house in Ohio and it was for 100 grand. You still owe your bank 100 grand or maybe 99,000 after 4 years of paying on it. Well, they're going to sell it to me for 80 because they've actually already got well over $20,000 worth of payments from you. They can let you in on it. They're still cutting a profit, and they've let me now keep the asset that's 5 years in existence for 80, and you still owe your lender, me now, the 100. So there's like profit that you get to step into the day that you buy these notes because of the space and the reason and why and how it all works. And if you don't know what you don't know, then you have so many more questions that bubble up, and it's like, let me tell you why. Please let me share with you why this all works and how it's all happening every day behind us, in front of us, and to us, and we just didn't even know.
You've piqued my curiosity so much. I don't even want to talk about your entrepreneurial journey now. I just want to talk about these promissory notes because it's completely out of left field. I've talked with entrepreneurs in the real estate world, and they talk about buying investment properties or commercial properties, which I understand commercial properties because it pretty much pays for itself, right? You can either get a percentage of their sales, and you can do all these wonderful things when it comes to commercial, and you're not really a landlord. You're just like, here's your stuff. Good luck. Figure it all out. You want plumbing? You got to figure it out yourself. But here you are, you're like, no, I don't even want any of this. I just want this little piece of paper that says you have agreed to pay back a loan. A loan. That's all it is. And you now are the bank. You're getting that. How do you get the banks like, because this seems kind of like the bank would not want to give this up because everybody knows banks love mortgages because they pay. It's one of the most guaranteed forms of money. And you're over here becoming the bank without having to jump through all the legal loopholes of being a bank or being a lender. I'm guessing you don't have to go through all the legal loopholes to become a lender. No, no. It's like I could walk into a place, buy a promissory note, and boom, I am now a lender or a bank, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
How I want to know who convinced the banks to do this because it seems completely against regular banking ethos because they're losing money here, but they're making pretty much you're just buying the remainder of the loan. So if the loan is 300K, you're buying it at a discount because they've already paid down percentage and they already made most of their money because of the interest. Like you said, it's front loaded. Um, how first of all, how did you find out about this? This is my I should have asked this at the beginning, but I got so deep down. How did you find out about promissory notes being a potential entrepreneurial venture?
Well, I was exposed to it when I was younger, or in the seminar space whenever I took my first one when I was 22, but I didn't quite grasp it because I didn't have my own home first. And then when I grew up in the seminar world and I became like this expert in the back of the room that was a consultant that could sell, but also went home to rentals and flips, I was just this expert in the back of the room that sat next to someone that said, hey, what do you do for a living? And I thought, we're here as the experts. Don't you do houses? Like I'm the person that got called in an emergency because they needed an extra body to go teach a room of 50 people how to flip houses. And he said, oh, that's cool. I flip paper. And I thought, okay, what is that? Tell me right now. I need to know everything that you know. And he showed me math and numbers, and I sat there and proceeded to a beautiful mind with him. And we've got clipboards and widgets. And I'm like, tell me how and why this works. And he said, I bet you're a tired landlord. defend, right? No way am I a tired landlord. This is my dream. This is what we teach people. No, he was right. I didn't realize that the idea to get into this note space, someone had to show it to me, expose it to me. It's a very small niche-y space, meaning like, I don't know, a few thousand people I know, tops. That's it, that are in this space at all in the United States that come to these. Sometimes there's like a annual event or a meet and greet or there's a webinar, but it's very hard to find because imagine if I just said, yeah, go invest in the note space. What would you Google?
Notes. House notes.
Yeah, what is that going to bring to you? Like, even if you just said, how do I buy a note? They're going to be like, do you want a notepad? Do you want a sticky note? Do you want a note? Like, it doesn't make sense to be able to even super greatly go find this space. You have to know someone that's brought it to you. This is why I'm here today, because I want people to know that you got to know. And if you don't know, you got to know someone and they can tell you where to go to start digging through the lanes of how this little quiet world isn't really Googleable, but if you know websites to go to, you can get there faster. Or you can just know people to get you there faster, or you got to know people to get you to those deals that are already catered to what it is you want to have as your investment and return, to make sure your portfolio is balanced enough and you can absorb that. Because they just sell you one and you own one. Well, what happens when that goes wrong and you don't know who to call next? Well, if you come to me, I'll just buy it back from you and we'll pick a different one, right? Like when you have enough of a portfolio, I want everybody to win. And my partner's portfolios can absorb stuff like that. So I want you to have a win in your accounts that you want to have this type of return in.
I love this. And now you're kind of shifting to not necessarily out of the note space, but you're creating a fund
Yeah.
for people to join so they can even grow it passively. So for people who know the stock market, it's similar to an ETF that I give you money, you go buy these products, and I get a residual afterwards from the money being gained. What made you decide to go into the fund, add a fund to this whole shindig of entrepreneurial skill sets that you have?
All right. The story is one of my OG mentors. Seriously, he's got 200 million in his fund. He's like doing stuff in Puerto Rico, and he's like hotels, strip malls, single family, massive. Just Tiff, what do you need? And I'm like, I'm doing what I do, right? You're just adding a few zeros on the stuff that I do. But he said, Tiff, I realized that you have been quiet for years. For 17 years, you've been quiet. You're a landlord, you're flipping, you go to a thing, you're an expert, but you go home and then go buy the seminar, go do the thing, like learn how to flip. I can be the expert and you can call me maybe on speed dial, but we're not friends on Facebook. I'm not Rolodexing any of these people. And he said, stop being quiet and let people do deals with you. Let them come through you. Let them get access to the people that you know and the deals that you have access to and the knowledge that you have. Because here's what you need to do. Come fly out, meet me. I'm going to create for you a fund that's filed with the SEC that I am allowed to say, hey, I'm regulated. I am now capable of saying, come put your money with me. And I've got a big fat stack of paperwork that says, like, here's what I agree to do with it. And here's what I can provide to you as a structured, low risk return. And I promise you that this is what I'm going to do because they're watching me harder than you could ever scrutinize me. And I now got someone to kick me in the pants and say, Tiff, let people in with you. But after I did that, I thought, okay, cool, everybody, I can do this. But I wasn't loud enough still. And they said, now you need to go network. Now you need to tell people what you do and show up in front of people and be who you are in front of people and let them know they can do this with you. And that's where the networking part came in. It was like, oh, wow, who do you know that I need to know? But now it's grown even deeper and further into me living this like entrepreneur dream of like being a real estate investor and now letting people do it with me through the fund and letting people contribute. And I just give them a set it and forget it return. Now it's like, wait a minute. I have been meeting some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. I think you all need to know them too. So by the way, here's everybody that I know. Who do you need to know? Let's go crush it. And then after you go crush it, then you're like, Tiffany, I'm sitting on all this money. What do I do with it? It's like, let me sit on some of it for you. So that way you come stick a toe in, you come invest in some notes, and then you graduate out of the fund. And then you're like, let's do deals side by side. So just set it and forget it until you grow in your comfort level of the world that I want to expose people to. And then they can come do this with me.
All right. So that's insane. And I love it because it's something I'm not actively looking to be a landlord or owner of multiple properties, because that's a headache that I'm like, no, I don't have that time. I love the fund idea because it's like me investing in the stock market. I find an ETF, I just put money into it. It gives me money back. I love that. That's like great. And this is what your fund does. I can give you money when I have the money. You go buy, you do all the hard work. I just get the money in return, which who doesn't love that? That's the key essential point to passive income. But I love how you're also saying, hey, when you get to a certain level and you want to join to be a promissory person, you can. So let's say I do join, I start buying these promissory notes, right? I've graduated from your fund. I'm like, I'm going to keep money in the fund, but I also want to buy my own promissory notes alongside of you. With everybody's goal with a mortgage is, hey, I want to, pay off my mortgage. That's everybody's goal of owning a house, right? what happens when they do pay off the house? Do you give that paper back? That disappears? What goes on with that? And for those who aren't watching the YouTube channel, which you should be subscribed to, the Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Network, she is smiling from ear to ear. It's a very big smile. I'm blinded by how white her teeth are. But yes, what happens after the mortgage is paid off? Or yeah, we'll go with what happens when they pay the mortgage off or the promissory note is done?
It's even better. Everything just keeps getting better because think about the cute little house that I said, oh, you buy it. Someone bought it for 100 grand. They got the loan from their bank and now their bank sold it. Well, I bought that note for 80. And all of a sudden they're like, it's been 7 years. Let's get out of this house. Well, now they've paid it down to 95, right? Look, they've got nothing that they've paid down unless they've been paying extra on their mortgages. They're going to go list it for 120. This cute little house is increased in value. And now they're going to go to closing. And the closing is going to say, hey, first lien positions, the bank. The bank, you owe them 95,000. So I'm actually going to collect 100% of that back. And we get cut a check as the lender to clear the title so that loan can then go sell to someone else and create a new loan for a new lender. And when you get that money back out, you get to decide all over again what you want to do with it. Do I want to buy a new note? And that's why you have to stay in the business because, well, gosh, I got all my money back. I got the return on my investment. What do I do with it now? Do I go put it in a savings account? No, no. You could buy another note and it gets so crazy. Okay, you could buy another note, and because your note actually is an asset, if you need to like all of a sudden liquidate that, you can actually just borrow money out of the note in it of itself because it's a cash flowing asset, kind of like how you could borrow money out of your house. So it gets like deeper and wider and better, and just the imagination is almost endless other than what we can't do that's illegal. But there's so many things you can do with this.
Okay. Now, I love that because it's exactly what the billionaires do. They put loans against their stock options and all this, and now you're saying you can do that with a promissory note because it is a cash flowing thing because you're guaranteed to get at least a payment every month to pay off that loan. Now it comes down to, Mr. and Mrs. Joe, they want to refinance, but you're not a bank. Can they refinance with you?
Maybe. I'm a small enough bank that I'd be open to the option to see what that's like. But a bigger bank would say, well, you go through our refinance department, you look at the regulations, and we're going to make sure to do this, 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 this. Typically, if they refinance, they found another lender that has a better rate, so they're going to cash me out as if they sold the house.
So it's a win-win regardless. You don't have to worry about refinancing. That was my initial question. Like, I want to know because these are some questions. If I have them, I know at least one or two people have them. Like, what happens when they pay out? They either finish paying off their mortgage because some people stay in their house for the full term of the mortgage and they don't sell their house because they're like, this is my dream house. I'm never leaving. They do the 25 to 30-year mortgage. They paid it off. You end up getting paid regardless. Make the money and the note just gets ripped up and everybody's happy. Or if they want to refinance, they just go to another bank or they go to you and go, Tiff, we want kind of, can we refinance here? And you go, maybe, yes, no, or tight. Or they just go find another bank. With the banks, though, they can get that home loan. I'm in Canada, so it's called the what is it? The home loan or line of credit against the house.
Yeah. Mhm.
Would they be able to do that with you, or do they have to go to the bank to do that?
There could be at some point in the future a division of our company that would do stuff like that, but because we're like a boutique fund and we technically prefer to buy notes that are already in existence because of that discount that we can get a lower risk from predictability to say like, oh wow, they've made 30 payments in a row. Like, oh man, that's great seasoning on this mortgage. I'd love to buy it. That's what they call it.
I like that. It's seasoning. Okay, so like if they pay off the note, it's great. Or if they sell their house, you still getting paid. The note disappears, but you're still getting paid for that asset. They want to refinance, you're still getting paid. Or if they get a home loan, they can go to the bank and get that as well, and you're still getting paid. Okay, so that's all taken care of. And we already know that you invest in yourself by going to seminars. Or are you still doing seminars, or is there another way you're investing in yourself to become a better version of yourself?
I love going and putting myself in rooms where I'm not the smartest person in the room. So if I can be involved in a networking group, they're just coming to schmooze and meet and greet. I get to hear out all of the amazing businesses and people and their hearts and their story. And then they say, "Man, did you read this book?" And I hear about a great book and then I pour myself into it. And then I really do love masterminds where they encourage you to think bigger, more abundantly, and just experience the vastness of it all and understand that someone's got to dream it up and someone's got to implement it. And then we got to go from here and figure out what's legal. Um, but really investing in yourself by pouring into what identifying your flaws, like I lack in this direction and I need this. So I need to add that person onto my team so I can thrive better in the things that I love to do. And the things that I love to do are to get in front of people because that's what makes me fly. Whereas some people that are like, I don't want to be in front of people all day long. Awesome. Will you do my paperwork? So it's like, find what you thrive in, lean in a way to make money with it, and then hire out the rest of it. And I just figured out that real estate was the way I wanted to go because I don't have to deal with a software that I own, a witty nugget, a coaching session, a video that I have to keep up with. Like I just have this real estate world that I'm in my comfort zone with, that I've grown to be, that I want people to be in with me. And I want to know that that's what Tiff's here for. That's the laser focus, other than saying abundance, right? Like who it is that you know is going to help you go further because you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes just by knowing purely the right person, you get like a little elbow, wink, wink, and you can get into the club. And they typically tend to love on you and hug on you and share with you what they know because they want to lift you up to through all of this.
Great. I love that. That's one way. I like how you said you want to be not the smartest person in the room because it's important. When you're the smartest person in the room, I always find you're in the wrong room. Or if you have everybody telling you yes, you have the wrong people around you because you want someone to say no, you're a dumbass. Because hey, I don't. If you end up making a lot more mistakes when you think you're the smartest person. Um, I want to know, where do you see your business going? Because we did mention earlier that you maybe a small division will look at refinancing or home loans. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years going with this business? Since you've already been in the real estate space for so, I don't want to say for so long, but since at least 2009 you've been in this, yeah, 2000, at least 2009 you've been in this space professionally. Where do you see yourself going in the next 10 years?
I love that question. I have so many layers of what it is that I want to do. And as I stare into those layers, I understand more of why the heart part of me carries me further. Because it's not just like, well, I want to get a return for my clients. I'm going to get a return for myself. And then we're going to register it all with the government. And then, cool, thanks, have a good day. But what am I doing with those individual homeowners' mortgages that I've purchased and how that's impacting their lives? And I actually have the ability to make a bigger impact if we not just buy on purpose loans that are good and cute and making payments, but we actually buy mortgages that are not cute and not good and not making payments for whatever amount of time. And those ones, because they're damaged inventory, you get a discount at the register. So I can actually buy people's mortgages at a much bigger discount when I buy them in bulk. And then I get to show up and say, hey, I'm your new lender. Are you okay? I don't have as much red tape as Bank of America has. Do you need me to waive some of these fees? Can I lower your payment? Can I lower your interest rate? Let's restructure your loan. What do you need? I don't want your house. I just want you to stay a homeowner. And I can do that in a bigger quantity when I have more people coming into the fund with me to let me operate in that space to really, really impact the homeowner. Sometimes it's a waiting game because if you're dealing with people that have disappeared off the face of the earth because they missed 2 years of payments, you're finding them, you're headhunting them, and you're saying, hey, I care. I'm not just some guy that's here to steal your house back. But what can I do in those waves of how I can make a bigger impact? I see that division growing even bigger in our business to be able to restructure and get people into much fairer style loans. So a lot of loans that I buy were written at 9, 10, 11%. And if the going rate's 6 right now, currently, maybe I can rewrite them into something that they could stay. And so it's like knowing that I have a bigger impact on the debt that they thought was breaking them. And now we can restructure it.
I love that. Oh, that's great. You're looking to impact the future because we know, given the current world status, there's probably going to be another bubble bursting, be it in the real estate space or in the banking space or in one of the tech space or something like that. It usually comes. It always hits people. Um, and I love how you're looking to see how I can help these people, these homeowners, stay homeowners and keep their house so that they can, in essence, build that generational wealth. Because once you have a house, you can build that generational wealth. You have that asset that can help families. And I love how you are looking to build that with your fund and how you're helping people buying these promissory notes. I need to talk to a few people about promissory notes now and see if it's possible in Canada because that would be incredible division of some of my friends in the real estate world. Um, we are coming to the end, which I despise because I have thousands of more questions for you, Tiff. But I know you're going to come back and we're going to have amazing more conversations. But we're with the last question. I have your 10-year-old self here who has no idea that she's going to be going into the real estate world. She's still just looking at school as like, oh my God, I'm in school. What piece of advice you would love to hand back to 10-year-old Tiff?
There are so many pieces. I feel like it's a layered answer of my 10-year-old self. And quite honestly, the first one that I could think of, having a 7-year-old now, like what she's starting to really care what other people think about her. And now being in 40 years old, I don't care as much what people think because I just need to go show up for me. And I know what I'm doing is good and making an impact. But at the same time, if I could just paint a picture to myself to say, hey, go look in this big crowd of people and then come back in the room and then come back and realize, hey, wait a minute. Did you recognize anything in particular about any of those people? No. You're just so worried about yourself that they are too. Meaning, like, they're all just so everybody's worried about themselves that if you think that they're worried about what you look like or what's going on with you, you're wrong. Everybody's just so worried about themselves that you don't have to worry about what other people are thinking about you, and to keep trying hard and to push forward and to like if you're not surrounding yourself with the right people that are bringing you up, to reconsider who it is that you're hanging out with, even if it's AI. Like help chat GPT, I did that once and it was like, what are you gonna do? But surround yourself with the right people, because the right people will end up bringing you up through all of this stuff, and making sure to remember that they're all just so worried about themselves. You don't have to worry about looking like a weirdo or a fool or a silly Billy because you asked the dumbest question in the room. Like, no, that's how we learn. We can't be quiet through it all. Don't suffer in silence.
I love that. I love that because it's so true. We have such a ingrained thought, the negative voice. People are always judging us when in reality, 99% of the people they're worried that you're judging them. They don't even think about judging you. And even if you make a little snap foo, they forget about it within like 10 minutes of the whole situation because they're like, oh my God, what would I do if I made that mistake? So that's a great advice for 10-year-olds to 20 to 50-year-olds and even 99-year-olds. But I think the 99-year-olds kind of figured it out because they're pretty stress free at 99. They have more worries to worry about. Tiff, I'm going to jump off the stage. I want you to let my audience know where they can find you, follow you, maybe even jump into this fund of yours so that they can get that really truly passive income. So the floor is yours.
I love it. You guys are going to come follow me on YouTube. You can type in Aspen Sage Investment Fund. You can type in Tiffany Alexander and find my podcast where I talk to people about unveiling their journey. It's all going to redirect you back to either my Instagram, my Facebook, or even my LinkedIn, where you can come find me at Tiffany Alexander. That's where I want, because then you'll find my phone number, my email, my calendar, and I'm available. Like, I want you to know, I mean, I'm available for you.
I love it. Tiffany, I want to thank you so much for being here. I had a fantastic time chatting with you and opening my mind to the promissory notes because that's an amazing method of entrepreneurship that is still, like you said, still under the radar with only a few thousand people knowing it. So thank you so much for being here.
I love it. Thank you for having me.
To my audience, make sure you check out the show notes down below because you're going to find Tiffany's email, her phone number, her YouTube, her podcast, all the social media things so that you can connect with her and get into her world and possibly, get part of her fun. So I want to thank you so much for listening. Tiffany, again, thank you so much for being here. And remember,